In the last session, we saw one way to move a subject into a new background. That was by dragging between two different documents. And the only potential downside to that method is if your files aren't the same size. As we saw in that last example, our subject came in way too big and I had to transform her down to fit. So I just want to show you three other possible choices you could use. The first one, which frankly I don't use all that often, but you could, is under File, we choose Place. Then you go and find the file that you want to place, which is this one here. It's still a Camera Raw file, so when I choose Place, it's still going to open first in Camera Raw. I can still do the same kind of trick we mentioned before about playing with exposure and contrast. Click OK. But the advantage of doing this way is you can see it automatically scales her to fit. I can still make her a little smaller, which I think I want to do in this case, but at least it doesn't end up being this giant file that's too big. So that's the first method. And that's pretty good, although the only downside is you have to look at the file you want to place by file name. So option 2 is in Bridge. I can click once on the file to select it, and then I just go File, Place in Photoshop. So it sounds like the same thing, but the difference is I'm choosing it visually here, and I just have to make sure that in Photoshop the document I want is the active one. So I choose Place in Photoshop. Once again, it does a quick stop in Camera Raw. I click OK. Same thing, places it in. I can scale it down. Now, in each of these cases, or in all the cases I'm going to show you, it's still going to create a Camera Raw Smart Object. And the last one, which is kind of nice, is in Mini Bridge. Mini Bridge is a panel you can have showing that is just, as the name suggests, a miniature version of Bridge, which means whatever I'm seeing in Bridge I can see in here, and I can then just drag and drop. So it's probably the most visual way. Still stops at Camera Raw, click OK, and it still scales her down to fit, and then I can scale down accordingly. Now, the one reason why I use Mini Bridge more than others is if there's ever an occasion where you want to drag more than one file in at the same time, this is the only place where you can do it. This is more than one. So in Mini Bridge, I can select two files. I just hold down Command or Control to select them, and when I drag them in, it's indicating to me I'm dragging more than one. So it's going to show, here's the first one, click OK from Camera Raw, and then I can scale her down to fit and put her over here. As soon as I hit Enter, it's going to go, well, here's the second file, and then I can adjust the exposure and the contrast and all those things like we've said before, and scale her down and put her over here, whatever I want. Pretty much the same end result. And again, the nice thing is in each case, the end result is a Camera Raw Smart Object to give you that back and forth editing capability. So it really doesn't matter ultimately which method you use to combine images. Just remember, it should always be your step one.